Hadith 1. Narrated Ibn Shihab, once Umar bin Abdul Aziz delayed the prayer and Urwah bin az-Zubayr went to him and said, once in Iraq, al-Mughirah bin Shu'bah delayed his prayers and Abi Masud al-Ansari went to him and said, O Mughirah, what is this? Don't you know that once Gabriel came and offered the prayer, Fajr prayer, and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, prayed too, then he prayed again, Zuhr prayer, and so did Allah's Apostle, and again he prayed, Asr prayer, and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, did the same, again he prayed, Maghrib prayer, and so did Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and again prayed, Isha prayer, and so did Allah's Apostle, and Gabriel said, I was ordered to do so, to demonstrate the prayers prescribed to you. Umar bin Abdul Aziz said to Urwah, be sure of what you say. Did Gabriel lead Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, at the stated times of the prayers? Urwah replied, Bashir bin Abi Masud narrated like this on the authority of his father. Urwah added, Aisha told me that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to pray Asr prayer when the sunshine was still inside her residence, during the early time of Asr. Hadith 2. Narrated Ibn Abbas, once a delegation of Abdul Qais came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, we belong to such and such branch of the tribe of Rabi'ah, and we can only come to you in the sacred months. Order us to do something good so that we may take it from you, and also invite to it those whom we have left behind, at home. So he said, I order you to do 4 things and forbid you from 4 things, to believe in Allah, and then he explained it to them, to testify that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and that I am Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, to establish the prayers, at the stated times, to pay the zakat, obligatory charity, to hand me the kumus, 5th, if you acquire spoils of war. And I forbid from using dubba, huntam, mukayyar and nakir, all these were utensils used for the preparation of alcoholic drinks. Hadith 3. Narrated Jarir bin Abdullāh, I gave the pledge of allegiance to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, to offer prayers perfectly, to pay zakat regularly, and to give good advice to every Muslim. Hadith 4. Narrated Ṣaḥīḥ, that he had heard Hudayfah saying, once I was sitting with Umar and he said, who amongst you remembers the statement of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, about the afflictions? I said, I know it as the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, had said it. Umar said, no doubt you are bold. I said, the afflictions caused for a man by his wife, money, children and neighbor are expiated by his prayers, fasting, charity and by enjoining what is good, and forbidding what is evil. Umar said, I did not mean that, but I asked about that affliction which will spread like the waves of the sea. I, Hudayfah, said, O leader of the faithful believers, you need not be afraid of it, as there is a closed door between you and it. Umar asked, will the door be broken or opened? I replied, it will be broken. Umar said, then it will never be closed again. I was asked whether Umar knew that door. I replied that he knew it as one knows that there will be night before the tomorrow morning. I narrated a hadith that was free from any misstatement. The sub-narrator added that they deputized Masruq to ask Hudayfah about the door. Hudayfah said, the door was Umar himself. Hadith 5. Narrated Ibn Masud, a man kissed a woman, unlawfully, and then went to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and informed him. Allah revealed, and offer prayers perfectly at the 2 ends of the day and in some hours of the night, that is, the 5 compulsory prayers. Verily, good deeds remove, annul, the evil deeds, small sins. Surah 11, Ayah 114. The man asked Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, is it for me? He said, it is for all my followers. Hadith 6. Narrated Abdullāh, I asked the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, which deed is the dearest to Allah? He replied, to to offer the prayers at their early stated fixed times. I asked, what is the next, in goodness? He replied, to be good and dutiful to your parents. I again asked, what is the next, in goodness? He replied, to participate in jihad, religious fighting, in Allah's cause. Abdullāh added, I asked only that much, and if I had asked more, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, would have told me more. Hadith 7. Narrated Abu Hurairah, I heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, if there was a river at the door of any one of you, and he took a bath in it 5 times a day, would you notice any dirt on him? They said, not a trace of dirt would be left. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, that is the example of the 5 prayers, with which Allah blots out, annuls, evil deeds. Hadith 8. Narrated Ghailan, Anas said, I do not find, nowadays, things as they were, practiced, at the time of the Prophet. Somebody said, the prayer, is as it was. Anas said, have you not done in the prayer what you have done? Hadith 9. Narrated Az-Zuhri that he visited Anas bin Malik at Damascus and found him weeping, and asked him why he was weeping. He replied, I do not know anything which I used to know during the lifetime of Allah's Apostle, except this prayer which is being lost, not offered as it should be. Hadith 10. Narrated Anas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whenever any one of you offers his prayer, he is speaking in private to his Lord. So he should not spit to his right but under his left foot. Qada said, he should not spit in front of him but to his left or under his feet. And Shu'bah said, he should not spit in front of him, nor to his right but to his left or under his foot. Anas said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, he should neither spit in the direction of his Qibla nor to his right, but to his left or under his foot. Hadith 11. Narrated Anas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, do the prostration properly and do not put your forearms flat with elbows touching the ground like a dog. And if you want to spit, do not spit in front nor to the right, for the person in prayer is speaking in private to his Lord. Hadith 12. Narrated Abu Hurairah and Abdullāh bin Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if it is very hot, then pray the Zuhr prayer when it becomes a bit cooler, as the severity of the heat is from the raging of the hellfire. Hadith 13. Narrated Abu Darr, the Mu'addin, call maker, of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, pronounced the Adhan, call, for the Zuhr prayer, but the Prophet said, let it be cooler, let it be cooler. Or said, wait, wait, because the severity of heat is from the raging of the hellfire. In severe hot weather, pray when it becomes a bit cooler and the shadows of hillocks appear. Hadith 14. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, in very hot weather, delay the Zuhr prayer till it becomes a bit cooler, because the severity of heat is from the raging of the hellfire. The hellfire of hell complained to its Lord saying, O Lord! My parts are eating, destroying, one another. So Allah allowed it to take 2 breaths, one in the winter and the other in the summer. The breath in the summer is at the time when you feel the severest heat, and the breath in the winter is at the time when you feel the severest cold. Hadith 15. Narrated Abu Sa'id, that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, pray Zuhr prayer when it becomes a bit cooler, as the severity of heat is from the raging of the hellfire. Hadith 16. Narrated Abu Darr al-Ghifar, we were with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on a journey and the Mu'addin, call maker for the prayer, wanted to pronounce the Adhan, call, for the Zuhr prayer. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, let it become cooler. He again, after a while, wanted to pronounce the Adhan, but the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to him, let it become cooler till we see the shadows of hillocks. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, added, the severity of heat is from the raging of the hellfire, and in very hot weather pray, Zuhr, when it becomes cooler. Hadith 17. Narrated Anas bin Malik, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, came out as the sun declined at midday and offered the Zuhr prayer. He then stood on the pulpit and spoke about the hour, day of judgment, and said that in it there would be tremendous things. He then said, "Whoever likes to ask me about anything he can do so, and I shall reply as long as I am at this place of mine." Most of the people wept, and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said repeatedly, "Ask me." Abdullāh bin Hudafah as-Sahmi stood up and said, "Who is my father?" The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Your father is Hudafah." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, repeatedly said, "Ask me." Then Umar knelt before him and said, "We are pleased with Allah as our Lord, Islam as our religion, and Muhammad as our Prophet." The Prophet then became quiet and said, "Paradise and hellfire were displayed in front of me on this wall just now, and I have never seen a better thing than the former, and a worse thing than the latter." Hadith 18. Narrated Abu al-Minhal, Abu Barzah said, "The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to offer the Fajr prayer, when one could recognize the person sitting by him, after the prayer, and he used to recite between 60 to 100 ayat, verses, of the Quran. He used to offer the Zuhr prayer as soon as the sun declined, at noon, and the Asr prayer at a time when a man might go and return from the farthest place in Medina and find the sun still hot." The sub-narrator forgot what was said about the Maghrib. He did not mind delaying the Isha prayer to 1/3 of the night or the middle of the night. Hadith 19. Narrated Anas bin Malik, when we offered the Zuhr prayers behind Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, we used to prostrate on our clothes to protect ourselves from the heat. Hadith 20. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, prayed 8 rakat for the Zuhr and Asr, and 7 for the Maghrib and Isha prayers in Medina. Ayyub said, "Perhaps those were rainy nights." Anas said, "Maybe." Hadith 21. Narrated Aisha, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to offer the Asr prayer when the sunshine had not disappeared from my chamber. Hadith 22. Narrated Aisha, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to offer the Asr prayers at a time when the sunshine was still inside my chamber and no shadow had yet appeared in it. Hadith 23. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to pray the Asr prayers at a time when the sunshine was still inside my chamber and no shadow had yet appeared in it. Hadith 24. Narrated Sayyar bin Salama, I, along with my father, went to Abu Barzah al-Aslami, and my father asked him, how Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to offer the 5 compulsory congregational prayers. Abu Barzah said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to pray the Zuhr prayer, which you, people, call the first one at midday when the sun had just declined. The Asr prayer at a time when after the prayer, a man could go to the house at the farthest place in Medina, and arrive, while the sun was still hot. I forgot about the Maghrib prayer. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, loved to delay the Isha prayer, which you call al-Atama, and he disliked sleeping before it and speaking after it. After the Fajr prayer he used to leave, and a man could recognize the one sitting beside him, and he used to recite between 60 to 100 ayat, in the Fajr prayer. Hadith 25. Narrated Anas bin Malik, we used to pray the Asr prayer, and after that if someone happened to go to the tribe of Bani Amr bin Auf, he would find them still praying the Asr prayer. Hadith 26. Narrated Abu Bakr bin Uthman bin Sahal bin Hunayf that he heard Abu Umama saying, we prayed the Zuhr prayer with Umar bin Abdul Aziz, and then went to Anas bin Malik and found him offering the Asr prayer. I asked him, O uncle, which prayer have you offered? He said, the Asr, and this is the time of the prayer of Allah's Apostle which we used to pray with him. Hadith 27. Narrated Anas bin Malik, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to offer the Asr prayer at a time when the sun was still hot and high, and if a person went to Al-Wali, a place of Medina, he would reach there when the sun was still high. Some of Al-Wali of Medina were about 4 miles or so from the town. Hadith 28. Narrated Anas bin Malik, we used to pray the Asr, and after that if one of us went to Qada, he would arrive there while the sun was still high. Hadith 29. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever misses the Asr prayer, intentionally, then it is as if he lost his family and property. Hadith 30. Narrated Abu al-Mali, we were with Buraidah in a battle on a cloudy day and he said, offer the Asr prayer early as the Prophet said, whoever leaves the Asr prayer, all his good deeds will be annulled. Hadith 31. Narrated Qais, Jarir said, we were with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and he looked at the moon, full moon, and said, certainly you will see your Lord as you see this moon, and you will have no trouble in seeing him. So if you can avoid missing, through sleep or business, etc., a prayer before the sunrise, Fajr, and a prayer before sunset, Asr, you must do so. He then recited Allah's statement, and celebrate the praises of your Lord before the rising of the sun and before its setting. Surah 50, Ayah 39. Ismail said, offer those prayers and do not miss them. Hadith 32. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, angels come to you in succession by night and day, and all of them get together at the time of the Fajr and Asr prayers. Those who have passed the night with you, or stayed with you, ascend to the heaven, and Allah asks them, though He knows everything about you well, in what state did you leave my slaves? The angels reply, when we left them they were praying, and when we reached them they were praying. Hadith 33. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if any one of you can get 1 Rak'a of the Asr prayer before sunset, he should complete his prayer. If any of you can get 1 Rak'a of the Fajr prayer before sunrise, he should complete his prayer. Hadith 34. Narrated Salim bin Abdullāh, my father said, I heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, the period of your stay as compared to the previous nations is like the period equal to the time between the Asr prayer and sunset. The people of the Torah were given the Torah and they acted upon it, till midday, then they were exhausted and were given 1 kirat of gold each. And then the people of the Gospel were given the Gospel and they acted upon it, till the Asr prayer, then they were exhausted and were given 1 kirat each. And then we were given the Quran and we acted upon it, till sunset, and we were given 2 kirats each. On that the people of both the scriptures said, O our Lord! You have given them 2 kirats and given us 1 kirat, though we have worked more than they. Allah said, have I usurped some of your right? They said, no. Allah said, that is my blessing, I bestow upon whomsoever I wish. Hadith 35. Narrated Abu Musa, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the example of Muslims, Jews and Christians is like the example of a man who employed laborers to work for him from morning till night. They worked till midday and they said, we are not in need of your reward. So the man employed another batch and said to them, complete the rest of the day, and yours will be the wages I had fixed for the first batch. They worked until the time of the Asr prayer and said, whatever we have done is for you. He employed another batch. They worked for the rest of the day till sunset, and they received the wages of the 2 former batches. Hadith 36. Narrated Rafi bin Khadij, we used to offer the Maghrib prayer with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and after finishing the prayer, one of us may go away and could still see as far as the spots where one's arrow might reach when shot by a bow. Hadith 37. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to pray the Zuhr at midday, and the Asr at a time when the sun was still bright, the Maghrib after sunset, at its stated time, and the Isha at a variable time. Whenever he saw the people assembled for Isha prayer, he would pray earlier, and if the people delayed, he would delay the prayer. And they or the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to offer the Fajr prayers when it was still dark. Hadith 38. Narrated Salamah, we used to pray the Maghrib prayer with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, when the sun disappeared from the horizon. Hadith 39. Narrated Ibn Abbas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, prayed 7 Rak'a together and 8 Rak'a together. Hadith 40. Narrated Abdullāh al-Muzani, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, do not be influenced by Bedouins regarding the name of your Maghrib prayer which is called Isha by them. Hadith 41. Narrated Abdullāh, one night Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, led us in the Isha prayer, and that is the one called al-Atama by the people. After the completion of the prayer, he faced us and said, do you know the importance of this night? Nobody present on the surface of the earth tonight will be living after 100 years from this night. Hadith 42. Narrated Muhammad bin Amr, we asked Jabir bin Abdullah about the prayers of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. He said, he used to pray Zuhr prayer at midday, the Asr when the sun was still hot, and the Maghrib after sunset, at its stated time. The Isha was offered early if the people gathered, and used to be delayed if their number was less, and the morning prayer was offered when it was still dark. Hadith 43. Narrated Aisha, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, once delayed the Isha prayer, and that was during the days when Islam still had not spread. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did not come out till Umar informed him that the women and children had slept. Then he came out and said to the people of the mosque, none amongst the dwellers of the earth has been waiting for it, Isha prayer, except you. Hadith 44. Narrated Abu Musa, my companions, who came with me in the boat, and I landed at a place called Baqi Budhan. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was in Medina at that time. One of us used to go to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, by turns every night at the time of the Isha prayer. Once I, along with my companions, went to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and he was busy in some of his affairs, so the Isha prayer was delayed to the middle of the night. He then came out and led the people, in prayer. After finishing from the prayer, he addressed the people present there saying, be patient. Don't go away. Have the glad tiding. It is from the blessing of Allah upon you that none amongst mankind has prayed at this time save you. Or said, none except you has prayed at this time. Abu Musa added, so we returned happily after what we heard from Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Hadith 45. Narrated Abu Barzah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, disliked to sleep before the Isha prayer and to talk after it. Hadith 46. Narrated Ibn Shihab from Urwa, Aisha said, once Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, delayed the Isha prayer till Umar reminded him by saying, the prayer. The women and children have slept. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came out and said, none amongst the dwellers of the earth has been waiting for it, the prayer, except you. Urwa said, nowhere except in Medina the prayer used to be offered, in those days. He further said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to offer the Isha prayer in the period between the disappearance of the twilight and the end of the first third of the night. Hadith 47. Narrated Ibn Jurayj from Nafi, Abdullāh bin Umar said, once Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was busy, at the time of the Isha, so the prayer was delayed so much so that we slept and woke up, and slept and woke up again. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came out and said, none amongst the dwellers of the earth but you have been waiting for the prayer. Ibn Umar did not find any harm in praying it earlier or in delaying it, unless he was afraid that sleep might overwhelm him and he might miss the prayer, and sometimes he used to sleep before the Isha prayer. Ibn Jurayj said, I said to Atā, I heard Ibn Abbas saying, once Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, delayed the Isha prayer to such an extent that the people slept and got up, and slept again and got up again. Then Umar bin al-Khattab stood up and reminded the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, of the prayer. Atā said, Ibn Abbas said, the Prophet came out as if I was looking at him at this time, and water was trickling from his head and he was putting his hand on his head and then said, hadn't I thought it hard for my followers, I would have ordered them to pray, Isha prayer, at this time. I asked Atā for further information, how the Prophet had kept his hand on his head as he was told by Ibn Abbas. Atā separated his fingers slightly and put their tips on the side of the head, brought the fingers downwards approximating them till the thumb touched the lobe of the ear at the side of the temple and the beard on the face. He neither slowed nor hurried in this action, but he acted like that. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, hadn't I thought it hard for my followers, I would have ordered them to pray at this time. Hadith 48. Narrated on us, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, delayed the Isha prayer till midnight, and then he offered the prayer and said, the people prayed and slept, but you have been in prayer as long as you have been waiting for it, the prayer. Anas added, as if I am looking now at the glitter of the ring of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on that night. Hadith 49. Narrated Jarir bin Abdullāh, we were with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on a full moon night. He looked at the moon and said, you will certainly see your Lord as you see this moon, and there will be no trouble in seeing him. So if you can avoid missing, through sleep, business, etc., a prayer before the rising of the sun, Fajr, and before its setting, Asr, you must do so. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then recited the following verse, and celebrate the praises of your Lord before the rising of the sun and before its setting. Hadith 50. Narrated Abu Bakr bin Abi Musa, my father said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever prays the two cool prayers, Asr and Fajr, will go to paradise. Hadith 51. Narrated on us, Zayd bin Thabit said, we took the suhoor, the meal taken before dawn while fasting is observed, with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and then stood up for the morning prayer. I asked him how long the interval between the two, suhoor and prayer, was. He replied, the interval between the two was just sufficient to recite 50 to 60 ayat. Hadith 52. Narrated Qatada, Anas bin Malik said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and Zayd bin Thabit took the suhoor together, and after finishing the meal, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, stood up and prayed, Fajr prayer. I asked Anas, how long was the interval between finishing their suhoor and starting the prayer? He replied, the interval between the two was just sufficient to recite 50 ayat. Hadith 53. Narrated Sahal bin Sa'ad, I used to take the suhoor meal with my family and hasten so as to catch the Fajr, morning prayer, with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Hadith 54. Narrated Aisha, the believing women covered with their veiling sheets used to attend the Fajr prayer with Allah's Apostle, and after finishing the prayer they would return to their home, and nobody could recognize them because of darkness. Hadith 55. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever could get one Rak'a of the Fajr prayer, before sunrise, he has got the morning prayer, and whoever could get one Rak'a of the Asr prayer before sunset, he has got the Asr prayer. Hadith 56. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever could get one Rak'a of a prayer, in its proper time, he has got the prayer. Hadith 57. Narrated Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade praying after the Fajr prayer till the sun rises, and after the Asr prayer till the sun sets. Narrated Ibn Abbas, some people told me the same narration, as above. Hadith 58. Narrated Hisham's father, Ibn Umar said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Do not pray at the time of sunrise and at the time of sunset." Ibn Umar said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "If the edge of the sun appears above the horizon, delay the prayer till it becomes high, and if the edge of the sun disappears, delay the prayer till it sets, disappears completely." Hadith 59. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade 2 kinds of sales, 2 kinds of dresses, and 2 prayers. He forbade offering prayers after the Fajr prayer till the rising of the sun, and after the Asr prayer till its setting. He also forbade Ishtimal-as-Salat and al-Ihtiba in one garment in such a way that one's private parts are exposed towards the sky. He also forbade the sales called Munabada and Mulamasa. Hadith 60. Narrated Ibn Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "None of you should try to pray at sunrise or sunset." Hadith 61. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, I heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, "There is no prayer after the morning prayer till the sun rises, and there is no prayer after the Asr prayer till the sun sets." Hadith 62. Narrated Muawiyah, you offer a prayer which I did not see being offered by Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, when we were in his company, and he certainly had forbidden it, that is, 2 rakat after the Asr prayer. Hadith 63. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade the offering of 2 prayers, 1. After the morning prayer till the sun rises. 2. After the Asr prayer till the sun sets. Hadith 64. Narrated Ibn Umar, I pray as I saw my companions praying. I do not forbid praying at any time during the day or night, except at sunset and sunrise. Hadith 65. Narrated Aisha, by Allah, who took away the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, never missed them, 2 rakat, after the Asr prayer till he met Allah, and he did not meet Allah till it became heavy for him to pray while standing, so he used to offer most of the prayers while sitting. She meant the 2 rakat after Asr. He used to pray them in the house and never prayed them in the mosque, lest it might be hard for his followers, and he loved what was easy for them. Hadith 66. Narrated Hisham's father, Aisha, addressing me, said, "O son of my sister, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, never missed 2 prostrations, that is, rakat, after the Asr prayer in my house." Hadith 67. Narrated Aisha, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, never missed 2 rakat before the Fajr prayer and after the Asr prayer, openly and secretly. Hadith 68. Narrated Aisha, whenever the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came to me after the Asr prayer, he always prayed 2 rakat. Hadith 69. Narrated Ibn Abu Mali, I was with Buraidah on a cloudy day and he said, "Offer the Asr prayer earlier, as the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever leaves the Asr prayer will have all his good deeds annulled." Hadith 70. Narrated Abdullāh bin Abi Qatada, my father said, one night we were traveling with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and some people said, "We wish that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, would take a rest along with us during the last hours of the night." He said, "I am afraid that you will sleep and miss the Fajr prayer." Bilal said, "I will make you get up." So all slept, and Bilal rested his back against his rahila, and he too was overwhelmed by sleep, and slept. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, got up when the edge of the sun had risen and said, "O Bilal, what about your statement?" He replied, "I have never slept such a sleep." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Allah captured your souls when he wished, and released them when he wished. O Bilal, get up and pronounce the Adhan for the prayer." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, performed ablution, and when the sun came up and became bright, he stood up and prayed. Hadith 71. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, on the day of Al-Khandaq, the Battle of Trench, Umar bin al-Khattab came cursing the disbelievers of Quraysh after the sun had set and said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, I could not offer the Asr prayer till the sun had set. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, By Allah, I, too, have not prayed. So we turned towards Budhan, and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, performed ablution, and we too performed ablution, and offered the Asr prayer after the sun had set, and then he offered the Maghrib prayer. Hadith 72. Narrated on us, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, If anyone forgets a prayer, he should pray that prayer when he remembers it. There is no expiation except to pray the same. Then he recited, Establish prayer for my, that is, Allah's, remembrance. Hadith 73. Narrated Jabir, Umar came cursing the disbelievers of Quraysh on the day of Al-Khandaq, the Battle of Trench, and said, I could not offer the Asr prayer till the sun had set. Then we went to Budhan and he offered the Asr prayer after sunset, and then he offered the Maghrib prayer. Hadith 74. Narrated Abul Minhal, my father and I went to Abi Barzah al-Aslami, and my father said to him, Tell us how Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to offer the compulsory congregational prayers. He said, he used to pray the Zuhr prayer, which you call the first prayer, as the sun declined at noon, the Asr at a time when one of us could go to his family at the farthest place in Medina while the sun was still hot. The narrator forgot what Abu Barzah had said about the Maghrib prayer, and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, preferred to pray the Isha late, and disliked to sleep before it or talk after it. And he used to return after finishing the morning prayer at such a time when it was possible for one to recognize the person sitting by his side, and he, the Prophet, used to recite 60 to 100 ayat, verses, of the Quran in it. Hadith 75. Narrated Qurrah bin Khalid, once he waited for Al-Hasan and he did not show up till it was about the usual time for him to start his speech, then he came and apologized saying, Our neighbors invited us. Then he added, narrated on us, once we waited for the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, till it was midnight or about midnight. He came and led the prayer, and after finishing it, he addressed us and said, All the people prayed and then slept, and you had been in prayer as long as you were waiting for it. Al-Hasan said, The people are regarded as performing good deeds as long as they are waiting for doing good deeds. Al-Hasan's statement is a portion of Anas's hadith from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Hadith 76. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, prayed one of the Isha prayer in his last days, and after finishing it with taslim, he stood up and said, Do you realize the importance of this night? Nobody present on the surface of the earth tonight would be living after the completion of 100 years from this night. The people made a mistake in grasping the meaning of this statement of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and they indulged in those things which are said about these narrators, that is, some said that the day of resurrection will be established after 100 years etc. But the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Nobody present on the surface of earth tonight would be living after the completion of 100 years from this night. He meant, when that century, people of that century, would pass away. Hadith 77. Narrated Abu Uthman, Abdur-Rahman bin Abi Bakr said, The Sufa companions were poor people, and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Whoever has food for 2 persons should take a third one from them, Sufa companions. And whosoever has food for 4 persons he should take 1 or 2 from them. Abu Bakr took 3 men and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, took 10 of them. Abdur-Rahman added, My father, my mother and I were there, in the house. The sub-narrator is in doubt whether Abdur-Rahman also said, My wife and our servant who was common for both my house and Abu Bakr's house. Abu Bakr took his supper with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and remained there till the Isha prayer was offered. Abu Bakr went back and stayed with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, till the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, took his meal, and then Abu Bakr returned to his house after a long portion of the night had passed. Abu Bakr's wife said, "What detained you from your guests, or guest?" He said, "Have you not served them yet?" She said, "They refused to eat until you come." The food was served for them but they refused. Abdurrahman added, "I went away and hid myself, being afraid of Abu Bakr, and in the meantime he, Abu Bakr, called me, O Gunthar, a harsh word, and also called me bad names and abused me, and then said, to his family, Eat. No welcome for you." Then the supper was served. Abu Bakr took an oath that he would not eat that food. The narrator added, "By Allah, whenever any one of us, myself and the guests of Sufa companions, took anything from the food, it increased from underneath. We all ate to our fill and the food was more than it was before its serving." Abu Bakr looked at it, the food, and found it as it was before serving, or even more than that. He addressed his wife, saying, "O the sister of Bani Firas! What is this?" She said, "O the pleasure of my eyes! The food is now 3 times more than it was before." Abu Bakr ate from it, and said, "That oath was from Satan," meaning his oath, not to eat. Then he again took a morsel, mouthful, from it, and then took the rest of it to the Prophet. So that meal was with the Prophet. There was a treaty between us and some people, and when the period of that treaty had elapsed, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, divided us into 12 groups, the Prophet's companions, each being headed by a man. Allah knows how many men were under the command of each leader. So all of them, 12 groups of men, ate of that meal.